Welcome back to the Alice Stewart Show on 96.5 The Voice.
Say you want a revolution.
Welcome back to the Alice Stewart Show, 7:34 here in Central Arkansas, and I am happy to be joined by Senator Elbert Guillory, who I watched his video a few weeks ago and said, I want to talk with that man, and then I had the pleasure of meeting him recently here in Little Rock. Senator Guillory, thank you for joining us.
Good morning. I'm still basking in the warmth of that visit to Arkansas. That was beautiful.
Well, we were all very glad to have you. You came to the Republican State Committee meeting and spoke, and this is in light of your recent launch of your video where you changed from a Democrat to a Republican. And Senator Guillory, you're a state senator in Louisiana, and in your video, which folks can see on YouTube and also on our Facebook page, The Alice Stewart Show, you say this was not a bold decision, but you say it was the right decision, not just for you, but for all of those in the black community. What did you mean by that?
Absolutely. You know, the black community is a very conservative community. The values that you hear on church on Sunday mornings are really the values espoused by and embraced by the black community. I'm talking about families, guns, prayer, marriage, abortion, big government spending. All of those are conservative core values for the Republican Party, but they're also conservative core values for the black community. And we just have to get the word out. We have to do what you're doing with women, is to proselytize and educate and let folks know that there is a place where your values are respected.
And one of the things that you mentioned in your video, but also when you spoke here in Little Rock, was about the Democratic Party and liberals, and really the heart of liberalism. You say it's a big and powerful government, and you say that the government is the only benefactor of social justice, and that is all about control.
Absolutely. The black community is completely out of the loop on this whole discussion about immigration today. And the reason for that is Republicans don't know us, and Democrats have us in their hip pocket. They don't have to take us out. They don't have to be concerned about our interests. The addition of 20 million new Americans to our schools, our jobs, our social security system, to all of those will have a tremendous impact on the black community. But no one's asking us because we've marginalized ourselves.
My guest is Senator Elbert Guillory. He is a Louisiana senator who recently made the decision to change from a Democrat to a Republican. And Senator, you talk about big government programs and liberalism, and specifically you refer to this as the control aspect of this, and they disguise this as, quote, charity. And you say programs like welfare and food stamps are not designed to lift black Americans out of poverty. In actuality, they keep them in poverty.
That's absolutely true. Over the last 30 years, after the big push, the war on poverty, which brought us a lot of those social programs, if you look at the progress of the black community, we have gone much farther backward. Our schools are much worse than they were 30 years ago. Our children are far less educated than they were 30 years ago. Our people are far less employed than they were 30 years ago. They're less job ready than they were 30 years ago. Those programs have not lifted one single person out of poverty. It gives all of the incentives to not go to work, to not advance, to not live the American dream. And so it keeps large numbers of folks on the public dole. The government gives them a little handout and keeps them enslaved to the Democrat Party. It's terrible.
And you have referred to that as you have been freed from that enslavement or the plantation is how you referred to it. And you have said this, and many conservative groups have referred to this before, is that free market capitalism and the free markets lift more people out of poverty than any big government anti-poverty program that there is. And why is it important, and how important is it to convey this idea and notion that free markets work, anti-poverty government programs don't?
It's absolutely crucial. If you look at the free market capitalism of America over the last 200 and almost 50 years, what free market capitalism did was to create the largest middle class, the wealthiest middle class that the world has ever seen. If you look at those programs like welfare and food stamps, they have never lifted one person out of poverty, never created a job, never let any person live the American dream. They live the American nightmare, which is to be locked into a little mail check once a month, and that's as far as life goes. They never can afford a fine car, a nice house, or a closet full of clothes, or to tithe properly with their church. They're just locked into a subsistence living, and it is such a shame.
Right. And I want to wrap up on this one note. I thought of you yesterday when I was in church. So much of what you talk about is the word freedom is thrown around so much. It's just become cliche. And of course, the idea of freedom is complex, and it's important to remember that to be free is to be relying on no one other than the author of our destiny, as you point to the heavens when you say that. But yesterday in church, the pastor said, in terms of freedom, in the blood of Jesus is where we find freedom. And explain what you mean by that, and that we should only be reliant on the author of our destiny.
Well, these government programs that we're talking about don't permit a person to be free, to be able to make their own decisions. The Democrat Party's policies with regard to education take decision-making away from families. Their policies regarding health care take decisions away from doctors and patients and put them in the hands of government bureaucrats. In all aspects of life, they transfer power away from individuals. The individual and that individual's God should be the final decision-making place, not some government bureaucrat.
Well, I couldn't agree more with that and all your other statements. Senator Elbert Guillory, Louisiana State Senator, thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate you coming to Arkansas, and I look forward to talking with you again soon.
Thank you. I remain one of your greatest fans.
Well, likewise. Senator Guillory, thank you for your time, and have a great day. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Eric Wilson.